What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XRP today. It is the third day of February, and here we are sitting at about $1.58 with roughly 7 hours and 20 minutes left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. If you hear any crackling and sizzling in the background, that's just food being made. Baby, it smells good. Oh my goodness. I wish you could smell through the video, man. You'd be hungry, to say the least. Anyways, I'm hungry for some TA. I don't know about you, but let's put our fork and bib on. Let's get ready to eat. Here we are, $1.58 right now. Moving down a little bit today, 2% down. I don't like the daily MACD at all, actually. There are good things to take away. I don't like it because of how gruesome it looks, but really, you think back at the times that you're at these levels here in the histogram, that you're at these levels here in your oscillators, you're typically at low points, right? It's not that it can't get worse. It certainly can. But I mean, how many times have you turned around from this exact area or something above? How many times did you go through this area? Not as many as you found support before you ever got to it. And again, your oscillators, it's not that you can't go lower. You certainly can. It's just, even if we do go lower, we're probably not going to go too much lower. Looking at the daily RSI, same kind of context there, right? We don't oftentimes get this low or below this level. That doesn't mean we can't go lower. We can, but certainly in the grand context of this overall downward sloping trend that we're still in, I don't think that we have much more to go. I think that we're closer to the bottom than we are to breaking down and going a tremendous amount lower. Anything can happen. My expectation is from here, from this level, we will bounce, we will recover. We will probably recover in a very, very dramatic fashion. I'm expecting a V-shaped recovery here. It could be successful, and in which case we would actually see this recovery take us all the way above like 250, probably up to 260, 270, somewhere up here, maybe. But if it's an insuccessful, I don't know what the proper word would be. If it's not a successful V, maybe we stop somewhere beforehand, and in which case I would still think we get above $2 in a very short amount of time. It seems obvious to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. Looking at the 1 hour time frame here, looking at this, we are chopping it up a little bit down here. We've got some, this is really a true pennant, in my opinion, pennant pattern. It really is perfect. It's like half of a diamond pattern, man. I wish this, if it was a diamond pattern, it would look so perfect here. This is a perfect second half. Symmetrical triangle, pennant, whatever you want to call it. Let's look at this on Coinbase so that we see the volume. Volume is dying off. Typically your volume dies off right before you're about to break out, right? Your volume here died off. Once it was dying off and at its low point, that's when we broke out, just unfortunately to the downside. Same thing here. Once your volume was low, right? Notice how it's dying off and it's at its lowest point. That's right before you broke out. Again, unfortunately to the downside. Here, you had very low volume. The volume came in. You broke out to the downside, but it didn't persist. So you tried again, whatever, it came down. You can make sense out of it however you want to. It's not a perfect thing. But the thought is, volume's dying off. We're coming to the end of our pattern here. We're probably going to break out soon. Something's going to happen soon. I'm assuming we'll go to the upside, not to the downside. The RSI here, to me, looks productive. The structure overall is productive. I know it kind of looks weird, but just hear me out, right? If we're looking at this here, something like this maybe, it kind of looks jumbled and weird. There's not really much structure, right? But if you take the highs and the lows, you can see there is a channel down, right? It's not just this random jumbly sideways thing. There is a bit of a channel. It's not just this random jumbly sideways thing. There is a bit of a channel here, higher lows and higher highs. Yes, there's blemishes, but whatever. I feel like just looking at this here, it seems to me that we're at a low point, that we're going to move higher. Does that mean that we get overbought? No, we could reject the overbought zone. We've done that before. Maybe we set up and we get overbought at a later date, maybe. But in which case, if we get near the overbought zone, we should be then testing the high areas of this pattern. So I would think that we do see a move back up to about $1.68 pretty soon. Maybe we pull back, we consolidate, we take this overall pennant pattern, turn it into an ascending triangle at that point. Maybe none of that happens. Maybe we just break through. But I believe from here, looking at the RSI, we break out, that we will move higher. I could see, just because of the trajectory here, I could see a situation where we get stopped shortly after we break out, and maybe we stop at the top of the pattern. That's not uncommon for pennant patterns. And then again, if that turns into an ascending triangle, that's great. That just builds more momentum for when we do get into the overbought zone the next time. I could see that happening. I really could see that happening. In which case, let's just see. No, I don't want to do that. Stochastics are weird, but so is the price action. The MACD is bearish, but you have bullish divergence, but it's weird too because of the price action. So I'm not going to weigh in on those on the 1 hour, 4 hour time frame. I'm trying to find the retracement here. Let's take that high. I think that's a good high. High to low. The expectation that I would have, if we do break above these highs and we do, carry on to the next levels, I would expect something around $1.80 to maybe $2.08. And again, if we do V-shaped recover out of here, perhaps we go a little bit further than that. It's not going to be a straight shot. We'll look back at it and assume that it was. Just like looking back at this, it seems like it was a straight shot up. But there were points where you did pull back, where you went from, $2.14 all the way down to $1.98. That's pretty dramatic in a very short amount of time. It was a straight line up, but there's pullbacks along the way. There will likely be pullbacks along the way if we were to V-shape recover. Maybe the V goes all the way back to this high. Perhaps it stops right here, just above that high there, and we stop right there at the golden ratio. It's hard to determine where these V's start, but on the 4 hour perspective, there's definitely a case for the V to have started here should we recover at this point. And in which case, I think it's totally appropriate to call for a $2.01 to a $2.08 price range for your expectation. At least $1.80. We're at $1.58 now. I say $1.80 because it's $1.79 there. Typically, you do wick above the 382, so maybe you find resistance right there. But even if you do, you might find a quick little dip. But I really do believe that we're going to run all the way up to this golden ratio. And if I'm wrong, it'll only be because we went higher. But I'm making this call for a reason. I think that that's where we're going to go. 4 hour indicators, RSI. It's interesting. Lower lows, lower highs. You can see it here. Some blemishes. Are we still in this trend? Did I draw that trend line right? Maybe we're still in this trend to the downside. But to me, it also kind of looks like we have this like diamond shape here. I don't know. I feel like there's a shift. You can see the shift in the momentum happening. I don't know. I don't think that this is a trend. I mean, temporarily, sure, it's a tiny trend, but I think we're in the process of forming an overall greater kind of pattern here. So we're probably going to continue to move up. Again, I feel like this lines up exactly with what I was saying a second ago on the 1 hour time frame. That thought there, that we move up a little bit, move up to about like $1.66, $1.68, then we consolidate further, and then we break out at a later date. So I would think maybe later this week. If not, it could be over the weekend or sometime early next week that we see these dollar, what was it, $2 to $2.07, 8 cent price targets hit, something like that. Hold on, what's going on here? Stochastics are all right. MACD. I mean, the MACD's sad, but you have bullish divergence, and you're building bullish momentum now. So, I don't know. There's good things going on, but again, this kind of, I think, reinforces my thought. It's not really telling us a whole lot, but if we do what I think we're going to do, these oscillators are going to continue to come up to the zero. We're not at that point yet where we're going to break out, but we're getting set up for it. And then at a later date, when we're ready, we cross above the zero line here with our oscillators. That'll be the point at which we break out. That'll be the point at which we get overbought. We get overbought here. We break above the zero. It's not today. It's probably not tomorrow, but it could be Thursday or Friday. If not, sometime I would say early next week. I doubt it would happen over the weekend. And again, by it, the whole thing that I'm talking about, the whole purpose of this part of the conversation is the move up to the golden ratio, the retracement of this overall high to this low, which would be right around $2.01 to $2.08. And again, if I'm wrong, I would think I'm wrong to the upside, that it goes, that's more robust than expected. Mainly because of how much fear we have, but we'll see. I don't really have anything else that I want to say. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Again, just attention to detail here. Not that there wasn't any volume on the drop. There was a lot of volume. That's a very big wick. The predominant portion of this volume came in on these candles with very, very big wicks. at the lows. If there was a lot of volume at the highs, I would like if we were moving up and volume was coming up and then we had a huge massive spike right at the high like that in volume, I would think that's where a lot of people sold. That's where the smart money sold. If we're coming down and we saw a very large spike in volume at the lows, I would think that's where somebody bought. You know, it's not quite that cut and dry. But in this instance, I feel like that's, I mean, just looking at it here, I would be very surprised if we went too much below this low. There's still a scenario where we could break out to the downside. We could see a lower low, a slightly lower low, and then return to the upside. We get a fake out of sorts. That could happen as well. It's possible. I don't believe that we go lower than that. I don't believe that we'd see anything dramatically lower than this. I don't believe that we'll contest these lows at all, and I do believe that we'll hold this kind of structure and move to the upside rather than the downside. But if I'm wrong, even at its worst, I highly doubt we go too much below this low. We can go below this low. This does not have to be the low, and it would not devastate the price should we go below that low. I just don't think we do. But anyways, I hope I covered enough grounds, went over some things. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves, all right? It could be by the end of this week. It could be early next week that we see prices back above $2, but probably very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this month we saw prices above $3, or at least somewhere around there.